Alright everyone, got my new TRP TR12 derailleur and shifter. I'm going to install them on my 2021 Norco site. And heck, we'll make this an unboxing video because YouTube seems to love that shit. So here we go. Fancy pants box. Ooh, not a whole lot of extra packaging material in there. That's actually kind of nice. I dig that. There's the derailleur. That's pretty sweet. This thing's pretty fancy. I got the gold color, match the gold of my bike. It's got a couple nice features. First off, really cool sounding clutch there. There's your clutch on-off mechanism. And it's got this hall lock feature, which will hold the derailleur in place. I'm going to use that a fair bit when installing it, so there will be more details on that in a sec. Here's the shifter. It's adjustable, just like the higher end SRAM derailleurs. Looks like... oh, there we go. So right there is where the cable ejects, so you don't need to take this off the bike to eject the cable and put a new cable in, which is kind of nice. It's a bit bulkier compared to the SRAM derailleur, but I think once I get it mounted up, it'll sit in there really nice. Honestly, so far, one of the things I like the best is the lack of packaging. So that's everything that comes in that box with really minimal packaging, which is cool. And I'm going to install it all. Well, basically all the steps you can do with a pretty simple multi-tool. I'm going to use a couple of different tools to install it. So just Allen keys, Torx bits, and then a pair of dikes to cut the cable, and then I got some extra ferrules there. But yeah, you should be able to install the entire thing with just a multi-tool. First step, remove the old SRAM derailleur. Definitely helps to lock that one open. Loosen off the cable clamp. You can see my old cable's pretty frayed there. And it's just gonna bang down to the outside gear, pull itself out. Of course, you're gonna have to figure out a way to take apart your quick link. I have some quick link pliers. So that's the easiest way to do it. But you can also do that with a couple rocks or, I don't know, use your imagination. Zoop. Put the bar into things. Bang off my old SRAM shifter. Boom, that's gone. And just yank that straight out. Super easy. So, anyone who's routed the drivetrain on a Norco frame knows that they're not actually the easiest to route, especially through the chainstay. The housing goes through the chainstay and out the bottom there. Makes it really silent, but it's kind of hard to route. And this housing's pretty new, so I'm just going to reuse the SRAM housing that I had. If you don't want to do that, TRP was kind enough to give us some new housing, but I'm just going to reuse the stuff that we have with a new cable, the new shifter and derailleur. And because I'm excessively lazy, I'm just using that same SRAM clamp. So unless you have a matchmaker clamp, that same one works. So there you go. TRP derailleur on a SRAM clamp. And everything looks like it's going to be lined up pretty well. That's kind of where my hand goes. Play around with that a little bit. And now to plug the shift line into my old housing. Oh yeah, pro tip, you want to make sure that it's totally bottomed out there, or else when you set your shift tension, it is going to be incorrect, and you'll have to do it all over again and feel like a chump. So the new derailleur goes on, the same way the old one came off. TRP wants you to make sure the hall lock is in the up position or off when you're installing it. I'm sure we'll find out why in a second. That one just bolts on. There is Loctite on it. Make sure it's nice and tight though. And then I'm gonna route the cable. All right, so at this point, housing goes through the derailleur, cable comes out the far side, and it's pretty easy. Plug in down below. I'm just gonna snug that down a little bit, not super tight, just to hold that cable in place. Now we're gonna set up the derailleur. So before we do anything else, I've routed the chain through the derailleur there as it normally sits. I need two hands to reattach my quick links, so you're not going to get to see that part. But we're going to check those high and low limit screws and make sure that the chain sits correctly in the high gear and the low gear. So all these limit screws do are tell the derailleur how far it can move out in the high position, so how far it can move this way, and in the low position that way. So all they do is they set those limits. So right now we're in the high gear. That limit looks pretty good, but just to show you, if I were to tighten that guy up, you're going to see the derailleur moving inboard towards the bike. You can kind of see that a little bit because I'm moving that limit inwards. I'm going to move it back outwards so it's underneath that gear, and I'll double check the low limit in this gear. TRP were super nice, help you set your B tension there. So all you have to do is align those two little chain link icons. You can see they're moving away from each other now as I give it too much B tension. As I allow it to come back to where it should be, the chain signs line up. So there we go, proper B tension, easy peasy. So then the next step, just make sure that shift cable is pulled nice and snug. Tighten down the clamp there, and then we'll do the rest of the adjustments for the cable tension with the barrel adjuster up by the shifter. You can do a little fine tuning with your barrel adjuster up at the shifter, and you're good to go. And this thing actually out of the gate shifted pretty freaking amazingly. I'm holding the camera with one hand, so I can't really show you, but yeah, you're gonna have to trust me that it shifts great. Thanks, TRP.